Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And once again, I do apologise for not putting any information up about my broadcast. The reason is as has been happening for the last few days, I just can't seem to get the thing to work properly at the moment. I can't twist the image round. I can't put any titles up or anything else like that. I'm not sure whether it's a fault with my tablet. It's never done this before, or whether it is just things are going on with the internet. Maybe the internet's under great strain here with the people that are coming here on holiday. But anyway, that's by the by. Anyway, just to let you know, the weather today, I'm going to switch that around so you can see the weather today is glorious. A little bit of cloud, clear blue sky, at least. Not as blue, but reasonably. And my message from the lovely Amanda this morning, morning Ginge, Monday's weather, sunny and very warm, highs of 27 degrees, but will feel like 31. Enjoy the day. So there you go. That is what it looks like outside. Oh, hello, Amanda Gregory. She's looking in at the moment as well. Right. Anyway, just to let you know, arrivals at the airport today, going to be interesting today, to be quite honest. We have got one flight in from Switzerland, from Zurich. We also have two flights in from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam. We've got one flight in from Athens as well. And we also have one EasyJet flight from Luton, which is on its way. It's due to arrive here 12:45 local time. We do know the gate was closed and the aircraft is flying. Jane is at the airport tonight. She's meeting guests tonight, but she's not meeting the EasyJet Luton, which is this afternoon, 12:45. But it'll be interesting to see how many people are on board. And I will get to that reason in the news as well that's coming up in just a short while. But anyway, let's have a reiteration of the COVID figures for the last 24 hours. Good news is the COVID figures are starting to drop and quite significantly here at the moment in Greece. Yesterday, I reported to you 932 cases. Today, I can report to you 580 new infections were recorded yesterday across Greece. So that is quite a considerable drop. And for those people who are curious about how many infections we've had since COVID started, believe it or not, we've had 409,368 cases since the beginning of the pandemic last year. The majority of those people affected, 51% of those were male, and obviously the rest were female. As for infections coming into the country, well, that number has gone up a bit. I did report to you there was only one positive case reported on arrival into the country. That has now gone up to 4 since yesterday. Now, when it comes to infections across the Ionian at the moment on the national statistics, we've had no cases reported in Lefkada, no cases reported in Kefalonia. We've had 8 cases reported in Corfu, which is a drop from them, down from 12 on the previous day. And Zakynthos, who had 3 on the previous day, is now reporting 1 on the national statistics. But when you go and you obviously check the local reporting, there's been no mention as to any idea who the person is or where that number has come from. But anyway, at the moment for Zakynthos, since the beginning of June, we've had 5 cases here reported on the island. When it comes to deaths as well, deaths across Greece, they have dropped slightly as well. I did report to you yesterday 35 new deaths across the country. Today they are reporting 24 new deaths. The average age of those people, 79 years of age. That brings the death toll since the pandemic started up to 12,277. And once again, our condolences to those people who have been affected. Now, when it comes to incubations and people in ICUs, that number is also down as well. Previously, I'd reported 416 people in incubation. That number has now dropped down to 398 people in incubation, of which 248 are male and 150 are female. So again, the numbers there are dropping as well. And just to remind you, 900 is the maximum amount of people that the health services here can deal with. And that's how many beds they have to treat people in an advanced state of COVID. Right, okay, let's get on to today's news. Now, this also refers to basically the flight that's flying in at the moment. It seems yesterday Greece announced that it has extended restrictions on air arrivals until 6 a.m. on Monday, June the 14th. Now, what is not being made clear is whether this is an EU order that Greece has to carry out, or whether this is to coincide with TUI UK starting its flights then on the 15th of June. Remember that Greece is still on the amber list for international travel from the UK, which means you can only travel here if it's a necessary journey, all right? Brackets, necessary journey. Mental health is a necessary journey for me, all right? So again, we're not sure whether this is a mandate that's been given to the country from the EU, because they've been trying to coordinate the movement of people around the union, and obviously this might be part of that. But again, on the same token, Mr. Takis wants his Brits here because he wants to stimulate the economy. Anyway, the rules are at the moment then, arrivals are allowed from other EU and Schengen zone member states. Anyone who travels for essential reasons, that word essential. Now, a list of 23 countries were posted yesterday. I'm not going to read all the list. However, the UK was within that 23 countries listed. Now, you can be admitted into Greece. All arrivals must satisfy the following criteria. One, they must have a certificate from a public authority attesting that they completed their vaccination against the coronavirus at least 14 days before arrival. The certificate must be issued in one of the following languages, and they are English, French, German, Greek, Italian, Russian, and Spanish. Also, they stated as well, a negative PCR test must be administered 72 hours before arrival. And 3, having already been treated for the disease 2 to 9 months prior to arrival, you will be granted admission. However, you must be in possession of a digital or written COVID-19 digital certificate containing information about one of the 3 prior cases that I've just already mentioned, all right? Now, all arrivals, it seems, will now be subjected to a rapid test upon arrival, and if found positive, will be quarantined for either 7 if they are already vaccinated, so your vaccination didn't buy you freedom, or 10 days if you are not vaccinated. So again, that is the issue that's gone out. But what also made me question this is as well is the unnecessary travel bit. The holiday companies are obviously determined to do some kind of business. I'll take my hat off now to EasyJet, who are still flying people in. But it makes me wonder is who's checking what is essential and what is not essential journeys. Yes, they're checking to see that you're vaccinated, that you've got a PCR test, that you are clean of the virus. But no question about unnecessary travel. That to me seems to not be a question that is of importance when they arrive at the airport. But then again, the amount of people who have been arriving, it has been small numbers. When you consider the last flight in from Bristol the other day had about 35 people on board, and the aircraft could easily carry 180. It does make you wonder whether lip service is being granted to this at the moment for people coming from the UK. But anyway, I leave that for people to make their choice. If they want to come, you can come. Again, use the criteria. I need my mental health sorting. I need to get away because, and I think that is a clean bill of health for you to be able to come away and enjoy yourself here before you have to go back. You have to do a PCR test before you leave the country, fill out your PCF form, and also do your 10 days quarantine and 2 tests when you arrive back. Or like some people, just come over and just sit it out for 90 days. Maybe there'll be a change in 90 days and we might be back to some form of normality. So there you go. This restriction is going to stay in place now until the 14th of June. Right. The Health Minister, Vasily Kiklas, and the Digital Governance Minister, Kyprianos Periakis, announced more online health services will become available soon to Greek citizens. These will include easy access to prescriptions, personalised messages reminding people of checkups, and vaccinations against childhood diseases, as well as advice online from doctors. So, to be honest, Greece is becoming more medically online. Good or a bad thing? I don't know. We'll wait and see. Or we'll see how efficient it runs. And hopefully it won't go the way that the UK national health system has gone, where trying to see a GP can be very, very difficult. And you've got to book your appointment. And there's been a lot of issues over that in the UK. But we'll wait and see how the Greeks take to doing more online in the way of medical health. Anyway, a very, very tragic story has also come from Corfu today. A 67-year-old Greek man facing eviction has murdered his landlady and another man before committing suicide. Police on the island of Corfu said last night. Now, the murder-suicide took place shortly before noon on Sunday on the resort of Dassi on the island's northeast coast. The victims were a Greek landlady and a Greek French man, both in their 60s. The man divided his time equally between Greece and France and also rented an apartment from there, police said. Initial reports that the two victims were a couple and which reversed their nationalities were based on neighbours' testimony. A police spokesman who spoke on anonymity because he was not authorised to talk about the case because it is still under investigation. He said police now say that the 67-year-old perpetrator was having a heated argument with the landlady outside the house when the other man, who also had problems with the perpetrator, came to her defence. The perpetrator retrieved a hunting rifle from his apartment and killed the two before going back to the apartment and turning the rifle on himself, killing himself as well. It was not immediately clear whether the eviction threat was over non-payment or the perpetrator's behaviour. Anyway, a coroner was due to perform autopsies late last night, and we shall wait and see what the outcome is. Maybe COVID could have been at the back of it. Maybe may not have been able to afford to pay the rent anymore because he'd not been earning any money. But we'll wait and see what's happened. But again, a very, very tragic thing to happen on the island of Corfu. Now, I'm going to read you now, which is quite a long and lengthy story. For those of you who have been following my broadcasts, you might be aware at the moment there is a bill that is about to pass through the Greek Parliament, which concerns the working hours that people are allowed to work, and also about overtime as well. Now, I actually think that this is a slippery slope, basically, to allowing corporations to come into Greece and obviously be in a position where 0 hours contracts can then be issued. At the moment, you must remember that in Greece, the unions are still very powerful here, unlike in the UK. And a lot of big corporations have been put off from doing business here in Greece simply because of the power of the corporations, and they can't get away with terms and conditions that they've been able to get away with subsequently in a lot of other countries, the USA and Britain included. So I'm going to read this story at the moment, and also it will clarify again, Greece's position on some of the legislation and some of the questions that people have been asking about this new bill. Now, with the passage of the new Labour bill going through the Greek Parliament, there has been a discussion about two institutions in the labour market that are related to the bill and concern many employees. Those two institutions are overtime as one, And also the other issue which was addressed, so I'll start that again. Overtime on the one hand and the regulation of working time on the other. So basically, those are two separate issues in the eyes of the Greek labour market, all right? As the issue is very topical, we addressed experts and asked them about the content and implication of these institutions in Europe and especially in Greece. So let's look at the meaning of each institution and the difference between them. The first one is overtime. Now, according to experts in labour law, the 8-hour working day is guaranteed in all countries of the European Union. Its abolition is not conceivable in any EU country, as it could raise the issue of non-implementation of the European Social Charter. However, for many decades, both in the EU and around the world, workers have been able to work more than 8 hours. This is essentially the institution of overtime. Its implementation requires an agreement between employers and employees, and it cannot be imposed unilaterally. As they point out, especially in Greece, for many decades also, the first hour beyond 8 hours is called overtime and can be requested by the employer and is paid at 20% more than the normal salary within the 8 hours. Working beyond 9 hours and up to 12 hours a day is considered overtime and is paid 40% more than the normal wage within the 8 hours. Until today, the allowed overtime in Greece was 96 hours per year for industry and 120 hours per year for services. With the new Labour Bill, these hours are increased to 150 for both cases, and Greece is approaching the European average of overtime. As already noted, the implementation of this measure requires the agreement of the employer with the employees. In other words, it presupposes conscience of wills, as it is legally called. For what reason can this conscience of wills occur? As they answer us, it can occur especially when we are dealing with companies with increased orders in a certain period of time and with employees who want to work more hours to be paid more. They emphasize that companies, although they paid 40% more to employees for their overtime work, do not hire new employees in case because the above employment required concerns a specific period of time and requires expertise on the part of employees, but a new employee does not have. So in other words, what they're saying is they can't bring in outside labour to do jobs because they might not be qualified, or they just basically don't want to bring them in because obviously they've got to then obviously wonder if they're going to be able to pay them. So basically they want their current employees to do more time to get the job done. Anyway, on the other hand, the employee who is undoubtedly more tired as his working hours increase has compensation of the highest wage, which reaches 40% per hour compared to the conventional employment. In short, that is, employees work more than 40 hours, which is the weekly working time, sees less of his family, but in return has more money. Now, the arrangement is the regulation of working time is a relatively new institution compared to overtime. However, it is an institution that has been in force for several decades, both in Europe and in Greece, specifically according to the experts of labour legislation in Greece. It was introduced by law in 1892 forward 1990 and has been amended by Article 3 of law. Now, I'm not going to go through all the different articles and stuff like that, but what are the difference between the institutions of overtime and the institution of settlement for both companies and employees? Now, their answer is that they emphasize, based on the current legislation, in a period of 6 months, the employee will have to work a total of 40 hours per week. Therefore, the working time for the employee is not increased, as is the case with overtime. On the contrary, there is the words arrangement of working time themselves indicate a different arrangement of time within this particular period, 6 months or shorter periods of time, which, however, may not exceed a 10-hour working day. So what they're saying in effect is that most people here in Greece or here on this island are working seasonal work where they're working for 6 months. They're working more than 10 hours a day, sometimes more than definitely 8 hours a day. And are they getting any overtime for it? Are they getting 40% on top of their pay? I would think very, very rare are you actually seeing that. People agree a daily rate and they work to that daily rate for the hours. It's not unusual to see people here in the past could have as many as 3 jobs in one day that they would do, basically to make enough money to survive through to the winter. However, it says that as well, it is up to companies to choose this arrangement for reasons of seasonality of their activity, and for employees who choose it for reasons of reconciliation of work and family life, for example, to see their family for more days or take more days, license, etc., to specifically through this arrangement according to the individual's needs. In Greece, as they point out, that this regulation has specialised in sectoral or business collective arrangements, sectoral in tourism business, in companies such as OTE, etc., depending on the specifics in each case. In short, in contrast to overtime, where the employee's working hours increase, and therefore his free time is limited, in the arrangement of working time, the total working time of employees does not increase, but spreads differently over the days of the week in order for the employee to take above leave, as already noted, or may not work on Friday, having worked more hours in the previous days. Well, to be honest, that in reality doesn't really apply, especially when you, like myself, a seasonal worker, 7 days a week. I'm not working 10 hours a day, that is for sure. But the point is this, is that technically, when you're working as a full-time employee with companies, you should actually be given time off. You should be given weekends off. But the reality of on the ground is that, no, it doesn't work like that. So most people are working on the assumption that they agree a price with their employer. They maybe agree their hours with the employer, and they just get on and do it. So in some ways, some of this legislation doesn't really impact on the reality of the working conditions on the ground. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this is kind of a slippery slope, where the power of the unions for those people who should be saying full-time employment is going to be kind of eroded, and also give a whole new freedom for employers, especially from the corporate level, to come in and dictate the terms of that they want to employ people. We've already seen that Amazon now is going to come to Greece to set up initially data farms. Again, not too much information as to exactly how those will be run and those will be organised. All we know is that 3 data farms are going to be set up around the Attica area. But then again, who's to say that not far behind the data farm arrival is going to be, say, the Amazon warehouse arrival, and the way that Amazon does not have a very good reputation, to be quite honest, internationally, with the way that it treats and looks after its employees with the 0 hours contract. And again, across the UK, we've seen the problems with the 0 hours contract. It doesn't really give you job security or job safety, and you are hired and required for use on the as and when they want you to work. And of course, if you're an employee who, shall we say, doesn't fully agree with everything that the company's doing, you might find your hours being cut, etc. So again, this new bill that's going through, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to work it out. It has been noted by the actual unions that they don't want to see these bills going through because they look at it as like this. It's the 8-hour day is now in danger of becoming the 10-hour day. And as a standard amount of time for working. So again, we'll wait and see what happens. We'll wait and see what transpires. We'll wait and see what the government's plan is going to be towards the unions, because I think in some ways, especially this Conservative administration at the moment, see the unions as an obstacle, shall we say, for doing more international business. But then again, at the moment, we've seen what happens when the unions do actually get broken up. It can go too far towards the employer as towards fairness with the employee. So again, I'll be watching that with a lot of interest, all right? And I'll report to you. So I hope you found that illuminating, and people from outside understand the conditions that people that you see in bars and restaurants here on their 6 hours, and in some ways why tipping can be important for some of these people, because again, that obviously helps towards them because they're not getting any extra money for extra hours that they may end up doing. And so again, with things that have been going on, the odd tip here, there and again actually does help a lot towards their basically standard of living and their incentive to give good service and to basically make a little bit more, because it's all about you make money in the summer, you squirrel it away to survive the winter. And this is the boom and bust cycle that all Greek resorts have run on since tourism first started, and it's not unusual, all right? So some of these labour laws that come in might be good for somebody in full-time employment, but for the seasonal worker, not necessarily so. And again, as I say, most people set a price, a deal between them and the employer, and they stick with that. And again, if the employer sticks to it, fantastic. But as we all know, there can be some very unscrupulous employers here as well who do exploit their workers. There's no two ways about that. And to be honest, a lot of people here work very, very hard, and some of them even have 2 to 3 jobs a day as well. Anyway, and finally, a bit of funny, wacky news for you. All right. I saw this today and I thought, well, 10 wacky facts about Greece. Some of these you may know, some of these you might not know. I'm going to spread them over the week. All right. So today's 2 wacky facts are these. Greeks are superstitious. In fact, Greeks are very superstitious people. One superstition shared by all Greeks is that of the evil eye, okay, or the matai. And to be honest, Jane is a bit of a believer in the evil eye. Now, the belief is that someone can cast an evil eye onto another person out of envy or jealousy. And once you have the evil eye on you, you must find someone who can perform a ceremony to destroy the evil energy. Now, you may have seen all these little trinkets, the little evil eye trinkets and that. Little babies have them placed upon them. Jane always has one with her. And believe it or not, Jane was telling me that when she wears her little evil eye bracelet, you wear it for as long as it stays. All right. Once it disintegrates, that is time to get a new one. And then the cycle of protection is then carried on. So once again, those little trinkets you can buy for a couple of euros, you stick them on your arm, they keep the evil eye away. All right. And I think we should call evil eye karma, I think is a good word for it. Also as well, spitting is a good thing in Greece. Yes, in Britain, spitting is frowned upon. Okay, it's not polite to spit in company. However, in Greece, it's a different thing. In Greece, the interesting fact about spitting is that you normally see the yayas, that's the grandmothers, they're always spitting over the grandchildren. And the reason for that, since time immemorial, the Greeks have believed that spitting on someone is a way of combating any form of evil energy that is present. So if the evil eye is on your baby, you spit on the baby. It's in fact a bit more ceremonial. They don't call it a spit, it's more a sort of noise, okay? And they do that across the babies to keep the evil away. I've got to be honest, you may have all seen the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where the bride is walking down the aisle and they all start spitting at her as she walks down the aisle. All the Greek weddings I've ever been to in Greece and Cyprus, I've never seen that being done, all right? So I don't know whether that is artistic license or whether, yes, it does happen in some places with some sectors of the Greek population, but just as a by the by, in all the time, all the Greek weddings I've been to, I've never ever seen that being done with people spitting at the bride as she goes down the aisle. Anyway, if you've seen different, let me know, and I'll put that down. Right, I'm going to have a quick look now at people who are tuning in. I don't know if it's going to run nicely, because I know the last few days I've not been able to take comments from people because don't ask me why things are just not running right on the internet. Anyway, Michaela Lecker is tuning in. Nice to see you. Christine Brown is also tuning in as well. Alf Ling is tuning in. Ian Booth says, hello, Ginge from the sunny Pennines. Lovely to see you. Janet Cooney is watching. Andrew the Fridge Watkins, he says he's watching as well. Heather Nash says, totally agree. My mental health needs Sylvie. Yeah, and we need you as well, Heather. So once again, I'm just curious to see how many people are going to turn up on that EasyJet flight from Luton today, and how many people will be on board. And what do they do at Heathrow, at Luton Airport, or any other airport that you fly in from? Is somebody checking your worthiness to travel abroad, and this journey that you're doing is actually necessary? I'm just curious. If you're one of those people who turns up, let me know what checks they done for you. I do know initially they were checking people quite seriously, and a lot of people were really worried about whether they would get on their flight or not. But to be honest, I've not heard any different at the moment as to whether, as long as you've got all your COVID stuff done up to date and everything else, the unnecessary journey bit is just a formality. You can still come, all right? Because we have seen, as I said before, large family groups coming over. And again, was their journey necessary? Yes, it was her birthday, so they came on holiday. So there you go. So the old mental health card is a good thing there to play at the airport. Brian Cardle says, morning, Ginge, have a good day. Karen Smith is watching as well. Nice to see you. Rachel Hanson is also watching too. Amanda Gregory is also giving me a wave. Nice to have a wave. I've also had a good morning from Stockport from somebody. I don't know who that is. Julie White has also said, morning, she says, I've had an update from TUI is supposed to be happening from TUI today. Morning. An update from TUI is supposed to be happening from TUI today. Right, just quickly, remember the thing that you're looking for with TUI, it's TUI UK. TUI Holland, TUI Germany, all of those companies, they're all still just turning and burning and still working. So again, it's the TUI UK. TUI UK said that their flights are not going to start until the 15th of June. So maybe there's a change coming. I don't know. But thanks for that heads up, Julie. I'll have a look at it in a little bit more detail, and I'll report that as soon as I hear something. All right. Anyway, anybody else that's tuning in at the moment? Again, it's doing that funny thing about the way it scrolls back and forth. But anyway, listen, I'm going to leave it there for the time being. I'll have a look at your comments. Steve Hinklin said, Gallimera, hope you and Jane had a good weekend. Yes, we did. We were on the beach yesterday, down at Porto Camino, down in Vasilikos. They had only, that's a point. They had only just opened again on the Friday. I asked them about how they were doing in the way of rooms and people. They said they had a few in down there. They had mainly Austrians, French. They also had a German as well. and they had quite a lot of Greeks as well who'd come over for the weekend as well to get away from Athens. So it was quite busy down there, but not overly busy. So at least as far as they were concerned, they were up and running again, and they had some people. And I remember last year, they actually got very, very busy as the season went on. They did have a little bit of a hiccup with the hurricane hitting their area. But other than that, they actually came out of it quite well when you considered that things didn't start moving until July of last year. They still managed to survive through the winter, ready to start business again. So in some ways, for them, it's been a bit of a bonus in comparison that they've been able to start a bit earlier. But anyway, so again, places are open, things are turning and burning. I'm going to be doing a little wander around Sylvie at some point. I have decided this Wednesday that I'm going to do another reverse show into Magdalena's. Okay, that will start at 9 o'clock and go on till midnight, as it would do if you were in Magdalena's. And so if you want to send me your requests, send me your dedications. I'll have a few little Vox Pops videos of people in the venue sending you their best regards. And hopefully you'll be able to be in there in person, as I will. And hopefully Mr. Mitsotakis will stop this ban on music and commentary on sport, etc., and allow people inside venues as well as lift the curfew time to a much more realistic time than what is at the moment at midnight. But we'll wait and see. Hopefully there might be changes like that and see what's going on. Anyway, somebody just said, oh, look forward to your Wednesday show. And somebody said, TUI are coming today. I shall check that, see if it's a TUI flight. Whether it was, in fact, what did I say on my thing? Did I say it was an EasyJet? I said it was an EasyJet, I think, from Luton today. But anyway, we'll have a check anyway. Anyway, that's it from me. I've got things to do. You have a lovely day wherever you are, and I'll speak to you again tomorrow. Take care. Ta-ra.